Okay, this is the plait I'm talking about. This side has to go up a bit. Now, when you do that and you start to pull this other one in, you work it, okay? You pull this side, this third twist, way up tight, because if you don't, that's where you're going to get your twisting. If you try pulling or working the braid together before that, your braid won't lay flat at the top, and you're going to start to get a pucker right here. If they're not laying flat and snug like that, you're pulling on the wrong twist, and you're turning your braid face, and I'll show you what I mean by braid face. This is the braid face. These are the braid sides. If they're twisting, you know, and coming out and looking like this, and there's a big pucker up there, you're doing it wrong. You're pulling on the wrong twist. You're trying to get your top too tight, and subsequently you're creating an imbalance in the braid that's making it twist. Okay, but you'll notice that by having a pucker at the top. Okay, and it'll look something like that, or, you know, I can't even make this side pucker because it's too even. But anyways, we'll keep going here. It's really, really important once you get the hang of this to work on a rhythm. And there's different cadences that you can work on. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and the and is when you let go. And 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 and. Now you can see how two of these plaits are extremely small and one is a lot thicker. So I'm going to make sure I add that yarn into the two thinner plaits. You have to feel two thinner plaits. You have to feel it and see it. You have to pay attention. If you have a braid and two of the plaits are extremely small, you can see that they're not quite the same size. That's a big plait, small, small, big, small, small, or big, small, small. They kind of blend together, but you can see these and these are much more matched. You can see bigger, smaller, and you can't really tell yet, but when you do a really good job of braiding, every single plait is going to be the exact same size. This one matches this one, matches this one, matches this one. Number 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. That's the consistency that makes the tops of your braids look really good. The bottoms are really a lot harder to see past the knot line, because when you tie the braids, you're going to tie on 1, 2, 3, between 2 and 3 on that angle, consistently, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. You don't want to tie up high because it leaves too much at the top without support for the bottom. There's no balance, and we'll get to all that later, but I'm just trying to create the foundation for consistency, to show you how consistent you can be and how consistent you need to be when you do this braiding. A little smaller. It's always better to make your braids a little smaller than go a little bigger, unless you have just an enormously thick mane. Now there's reasons for that. If you're braiding a big mane and you cut some of the hair, you're going to leave a huge chunk out of it, and when you go back to braid the next day, if your braids are smaller, well, that one chunk you cut is going to be 2 plaits, maybe all 3, and you may end up with hair that just stops here, and you can't keep braiding down because there is no more hair. It's been cut off. So you always want to make small braids, because if for some reason you cut the mane, you want it to be a small mistake, not a big one. we're going to go through some of how to fix that too. How to add yarn to disguise the fact that your braid has been chopped. So you can go really fast if you want. Caffeine helps. Now see, I'm still really paying attention to this line. Look how straight I'm keeping this line. All of these knots are going to line up. If these knots line up, then the bottoms of your braids are all going to line up too, because you're still doing everything in symmetry. Everything is supposed to look symmetrical. Now you can see a little better this line, this hairline. You can see how the braids at the top are only about that wide and about that tall. Well, they're still about that tall, but the mane is a lot wider. So what happened was we thinned out this mane a little bit so that we can keep the space in between these braids very consistent. You can see how consistently the spacing is. You can see the consistency of the spacing and then the size, so you know that per square inch there's always a consistent amount of hairs per square inch.